Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. A quick shout out to those of you that just used my Tesla referral link, Christopher C., Jorge M., and Robert M. Thank you for choosing to use my link and congratulations on your new Tesla. There's still a few uses left for my link, so if you need one, it'll be below. And just FYI, if we max out my referral link this time around, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to convince my wife to buy our second Tesla for the family, even though we both work from home and drive about 5 miles on average per week. But hey, no pressure. Bank of America put out a new Tesla price target of $400, up from $350, due to the potential of Optimus. And they said Optimus is currently being used in Tesla's energy storage division and stands to figure prominently in manufacturing operations for the Cybercab. They said Optimus is currently being used in Tesla's energy storage division and stands to figure prominently in manufacturing operations for the Cybercab. They said Optimus is currently being used in Tesla's energy storage division, most likely just sorting batteries, something along those lines, and also stands to figure prominently in manufacturing operations for the Cybercab, which Tesla plans to produce next year. But this upgrade is meaningful because it came after a visit to Tesla's facilities, which included a factory tour, a ride and drive, and this gave them increased confidence Tesla is well positioned to grow in 2025 and beyond with its core EV business, the launch of Robotaxi, and Optimus. They said the Cybertruck and the Model Y we rode in were equipped with versions 12.5 and 13.2 and drove seamlessly to a charging station several miles away despite abnormal road conditions, traveling on roads under construction, and taking a tough left turn against traffic. Tesla told the analyst that soon FSD will require an intervention only once every 10,000 miles, and the benchmark right now that people are using is Waymo's one intervention every 17,000 miles, which Tesla told the analyst it should be able to do soon. Additionally, Tesla told the analyst it plans to have more than 1,000 Optimus operating at the plant by the end of 2025. The Optimus opportunity and others could potentially benefit from more capital via an equity raise to fund greater compute capacity, which we believe would be welcomed by most Tesla investors. We'll see what happens, but just keep in mind right now, more analysts are talking about Tesla doing an equity raise to accelerate their spending in AI efforts than they are talking about Tesla doing a stock buyback.
You know, I'm an old school gearhead. I've been doing this for over 25 years. I love seeing factories. So that was the first thing really to see the Austin facility for the first time. So that was great. Seems like it's a really good facility. But I guess probably more important than that was our test drives of FSD in a Model Y. I was in version 13.2. And it was incredibly good through some very challenging scenarios. So that was incredibly impressive. And then the potential for FSD to continue to grow as a percent or a penetration rate to continue to grow over time, which will create recurring profit and revenue streams off these vehicles, which will be far higher than the initial hardware sales. And I think that is where we got pretty optimistic about what can happen here. And our $400 price objective, our updated one, is the first stop. We'll see how this ultimately goes over time and how things are executed over the next year or two. I think the other two things that are really important is that the potential for Optimus and FSD, or full autonomy, to really take off are important. And when you kind of sort of dare to dream, like a lot of the growth investors in this name do, I mean, you got a $100 trillion global GDP number, 50% of that is labor, right? So that's the TAM for Optimus. How much of that it actually takes or adds to is huge. And then on the FSD side, you have about 10 trillion miles driven each year on the roads around the world. If you capture 50 cents or $1 in each of those miles, your potential profit is tremendous. So I think, as you look at the two vectors that they're going on Optimus on the labor side and FSD on the autonomous side, there's really huge opportunities. And then just one last real thing. The speed of travel has not changed in the better part of the last 80 years. If you're in an autonomous vehicle that can't hit something, there's the potential for the speed of travel to go up significantly. And then all of a sudden you have structural economic growth like the U.S. and the developed markets have not seen for more than 50 years.
And real quick, speaking of time of travel, you may have seen that Holmars did a test between Tesla's FSD version 13 and Waymo in the same location, going from the same starting point to the same end location at the same time. It took the Tesla 15 minutes and 40 seconds, whereas it took Waymo 43 minutes. The main reason is because in San Francisco, Waymo still cannot take the highway. If you're confused, a few weeks back we did say that Waymo can now use the highway, but remember that's just for customers in Phoenix. And Elon did share this, so it's a great example of just some of the limitations of geofencing. And just so we don't gloss over the fact, now Tesla is saying over 1,000 Optimus robots working at the factory by the end of next year, and Wall Street is waking up to actually believing them. We all know Tesla has completely transformed the car buying experience, whether you do it on your computer or right on your phone, e-signatures and everything. Over the past few years, I've had to request signatures from hundreds of people, many different companies and sponsors, and let me tell you, getting a legally binding e-signature can be such a headache. And you may have seen this just the other day. Meet Kevin was complaining about DocuSign, which can be a pretty pricey service for a small business. After plenty of searching, I have finally found a new service that has made my life so much easier. And because of that, I was eager to work with Sign as the sponsor of this video. Sign.com is a secure and affordable e-signature solution that's as easy to use as sending an email. It could not be any more convenient. You just upload, sign, and share. I created a test account for privacy to show you the user interface. It's super slick, drag and drop. Again, it could not be any easier and faster to use. There is zero learning curve. You can create custom signatures, e-writing or typing. Changing sizing is a breeze. Everything is just very intuitive. And look, even if you don't have a small business, if you ever need to sign or get anything signed by others, real estate deals, power of attorney, bank loans, lease agreements, etc., I'd highly recommend setting up an account with Sign.com and taking advantage of those 5 free documents per month, and they do have a mobile version coming soon. If you'd like to check them out, you can head to sign.com/electrified and use my coupon code Electrified20 to get 20% off your subscription to Sign, linked below. And if you do become a volume user for as little as $5 per month, you can request a signature for an unlimited number of documents. It's an awesome service to have in your toolbox as more of our lives become digital, and as always, thank you for considering supporting the channel in this way. Back to FSD, credit where it's due. AI Driver put together a great video showcasing FSD version 13. I'll have it linked below if you somehow missed it. I'm guessing most of you have already seen it, but I just want to share his main takeaway.
Version 13 has finally arrived, and I gotta tell you up front, it is absolutely incredible. I would even go as far to say unbelievable in many situations. And I fully came into this expecting it to be better than version 12, but what I was not expecting was for it to be this much better, especially being the very first release with a brand new native hardware 4 AI model. Although there still are some issues that we're going to go over, the issues are not related to driving performance at all. And in my opinion, the increase in performance we're seeing here is an even larger improvement than what we saw going from version 11 to 12 when end-to-end took over, which is really saying something.
And just so you know, he did have some cases where FSD would not actually go into reverse. He speculated about a possible 4th driving profile that's unnamed, so when the hurry, standard, or chill goes away, the car behaves differently when none of those modes apply, and it's in that hypothetical 4th mode when the car does actually go into reverse. But that's all anecdotal, not actually confirmed. I think many of us would agree we need to see improvement in areas for the pickup and drop-off locations, whether it's a parking garage or at the airport. And this video from Chris at Dirty Tesla does a great job of taking a step in that direction. Just watch how it navigates out of the parking garage from the top level.
Switches to reverse, there you go. Can it escape? How does it know what to do? How does it know this is where to go? This is crazy. Doesn't care about snow, doesn't care about being on the 3rd floor. It just cares about exiting. Insanity. Unbelievable. It found the exit once again, and not only did it do it, we're gonna pass this guy again, it did it really, really well. This is craziness. Awesome. Let's just confirm that it's gonna exit here. I'm gonna wait for this pedestrian to get up on the sidewalk. Holy moly, exit's even better than the first time.
I'll admit, it's pretty tough not to be very excited about the state of FSD right now, and hopefully version 13 goes wide here in the next week or two, and then we might be off to the races. And what I mean by that is yet another awakening of how close Tesla really is to solving this unsupervised FSD. Plus, Kyle Connor from Out of Spec, who historically has been, we'll say, moderate to critical of Tesla's FSD, is now saying Tesla's FSD has finally reached the point where it's insanely incredible and everyone in the auto industry needs to demo it, and I believe that was on a version 12 branch. A renewable developer is about to begin construction on the biggest battery storage project in France at 480 megawatt hours. We've certainly seen bigger projects globally, but this is certainly moderate in size, and it's actually 5 times bigger than the largest system online in France today. Tesla will be providing the Megapacks for this project, but not only that, they'll be providing the engineering, procurement, and construction, which they call EPC. And Tesla will also provide route to market services, managing its activity in the electricity market. And when you hear that term, abbreviated RTM, just know it's a fancy way of saying things like ancillary services, so maintaining grid stability, which can be done through frequency and voltage regulation, price arbitrage, buying low, selling high, and handling renewable energy integration. So yes, route to market services are likely where Tesla's auto bidder will come into play. Troy Teslake shared this chart about Tesla sales in Germany year to date. This year, they're 33,600, down from 59,600 in the same period in 2023. So it's about 26,000 units less so far this year, down just over 43%. But we've been covering that all year. What I wanted to share was this comment from David. He said, "I'm from Germany. Due to uncertainty in the government position regarding BEVs, most people seriously question if electric will be the future. Electricity prices are high, making it not much cheaper than ICE. Then the sentiment towards Elon does the rest. The media is super critical and negative towards everything he says and does. Most people see him as a crazy right-wing billionaire and do not want to support him." Another storyline I've been reading, remember, a majority of car ownership in Germany is commercial. And there are still plenty of headlines out there about Tesla and their depreciation, which is giving some of these fleet rental and businesses pause about adopting Teslas. I've shared in the past, I think the worst of the Tesla depreciation is behind us, and going forward it won't be anything like it was the past 2 years. But not everyone is as far into the weeds as we are on this channel, and they don't understand the drivers behind this chart of used Tesla pricing over the past few years. But the good news, as we predicted earlier this year, this steep drop in used Tesla pricing has finally leveled off for the second half of this year. The Biden administration is set to issue new guidance on connector requirements for federally funded EV chargers. The new standard is going to be based on Tesla's charger plug, the NACS. And we know that's already been the case. Many other automakers have already adopted it, but what's happening here is twofold. One, the SAE is finalizing the open standard for the NACS, or the J3400. And second, in the coming weeks, you'll be seeing an update from the federal agencies on what we call the J3400 Standard. This update will not be a new rulemaking, but will provide clarification on using flexibilities under the existing rule. And in short, the second part likely has to do with the fact that you may recall earlier, to get those federal funds for EV chargers, some of the charging ports at every location had to have a CCS connector. So again, as we said months ago, we were hoping that eventually the government would do the right thing and do away with that requirement, because most of the industry is going a different way. Now, in the short term, there will be some flexibility here as they bridge the gap for those vehicles that do have CCS. But don't forget, even if all of the new sites were only the J3400, you can just buy an adapter for those CCS1 vehicles. There will be a webinar on December 17th, so shortly after that we should get a lot more concrete details about how this will work. Plus, at the same time, the SAE as well as the Joint Office of Energy and Transportation are talking about a new universal standard for plug-in charge. This new framework will enable industry-wide seamless, secure EV charging experiences across all public stations with testing starting in 2025. So they're saying soon, drivers can plug in any car at any public charging station and automatically start charging with no payment processing step required. Tesla owners may not understand the magnitude of the problem here, but if you own any other EV, I'm guessing you might. They're calling this the EV PKI framework, and they're saying all vehicles, chargers, and charging networks will be able to talk to each other for the first time. And the good news, this electric vehicle public key infrastructure, as it's called, does have a list of members, and as you'll see, Tesla is included as a participating member. With stuff like this, it's all about the implementation, but the fact that this group is working on it and they'll start testing next year is very encouraging for the overall EV transition. Anything to simplify the EV charging experience is a huge win for the industry because the main complaints against EVs are still charging availability and range anxiety. We have a rumor from Heinrich Zane on the Tesla Semi pilot production line. He said he's heard from multiple sources that this line has shut down. All future production will be at the new facility currently under construction. Going forward, the pilot line could be used to build other prototypes like the Sleeper Semi and/or a box truck variant. To be clear, Heinrich Zane has been on the money in the past, but to me it does seem a little odd that Tesla would shut down this production line for so long, because remember, they're not expected to go into volume production at the new site until closer to the end of 2025. So if this was true, that would mean roughly 1 year of no new Tesla Semi production unless they were moving this line somewhere else. Either way, we'll keep an eye on it. On the Cybertruck production shutdown, Joe Tetmeyer shared a video and he did say that his belief for the reasoning has to do with the new Boring Company tunnel. And it sounds like that tunnel is close to being put into use. It's also comical to me how many people think this is because Cybertruck demand has fallen off a cliff. If that were true, a 3-day shutdown really isn't going to do anything to move the needle. If we assume the daily production rate is between 1,000 and 1,500, you can do the math for 3 days. That's not that much production. If it really was a problem, Tesla would do something like Ford, where they shut down F-150 Lightning production for the entirety of November and December. 2 months versus 3 days. Not the same. A quick note on Tesla's Bitcoin holdings. With Bitcoin crossing over $100,000, Tony, the accountant, is estimating that Tesla has roughly 11,630 Bitcoin on the balance sheet. Just to cut to the chase, according to Tony's estimates, Tesla might be sitting on about $1 billion in unrealized gains with its Bitcoin holdings, which as a shareholder should make you wish that Tesla never sold any of the $1.5 billion it originally bought. But that's neither here nor there. If you go to Tesla's most recent 10Q, you'll see at the end of September, Tesla had a fair value for its digital assets of $729 million, and this was before the most recent run-up. And remember, Bitcoin is up about 56% from the end of Q3, which means currently Tesla should have over $1 billion in Bitcoin. And even if you go back to the end of 2023, the fair value at that point was $487 million, so just from the end of last year to where we're at now, Tesla would have over $500 million in gains. But the original Bitcoin Tesla bought was back in 2021, so the gains are even higher. I'm touching on this because year to date through the first 3 quarters, Tesla's GAAP net income is $4.7 billion. So a $1 billion gain from Bitcoin is certainly not nothing. Don't get me wrong, I am not trying to argue it should be moving the stock price at all, but it's nice to have a little extra capital. Owen shared an image saying new Model 3s have pillar camera heaters. The truth is, most Tesla vehicles over the past few years have camera heaters to some degree, but Tesla has been gradually improving them. I don't expect anyone to remember this, but last year when we were talking about the AI4 upgrades, part of that was the B-pillars getting a new camera heating device. On X, Tess Ali shared a good video about a Tesla engineer sharing some facts about the upcoming Cybercab. In case you missed it, here are the bullet points from the video. Many of them we've heard before, but one I did want to highlight. He said the Cybercab will have roughly half the parts of the Model 3. industry. So Tesla eventually producing this vehicle at a COGS between $15,000 and $20,000 is squarely on the table. And lastly, for the trunk, it can fit multiple golf bags and separately 2 full-sized carry-ons and 2 full-sized checked bags at the same time. It can fit some bicycles and it will fit foldable wheelchairs. With XAI, I'm seeing it more and more as a canary in a coal mine for Tesla. Elon's not content with 200,000 GPUs, making it the largest supercomputer in the world, but now he wants at least 1 million GPUs in Memphis. They did not provide a time frame, but XAI will likely buy the GPUs from Nvidia. Colossus is currently at 200,000 GPUs with the goal of hitting 300,000 by next summer, and eventually hitting 1 million, which is bonkers. But my point here is that XAI will have so many learnings from pushing the boundaries like this. For everything, chip acquisition, cooling, the engineering of the facilities, how to train these models, how to reduce the power consumption, all of those learnings are going to benefit Tesla. And I know it can't just be me that wants to have Grok in a car with an audible version where I can just hit a button and talk to it, ask it questions, and it speaks the answers back to me, so as I drive, I can learn about whatever topic. I think that would be such a killer feature. I would use it all the time. Waymo has announced a partnership with Move targeting the Miami market, and they're looking to open their doors by 2026. Waymo said, "We'll first collaborate with our fleet partner Move in Phoenix, where they'll begin taking on the management of our fleet operations, facilities, and charging infrastructure. The partnership is designed to maintain and enhance the clean, consistent experience that our riders have come to expect and rely on." But this is interesting because to date, Move has been a global mobility fintech company. They've really been specializing in vehicle financing and financial services in the transportation sector. Move is based in Nigeria, and they have said that they remain committed to its core business of providing vehicle financing solutions to mobility entrepreneurs in emerging markets. But now Waymo is asking them to manage Waymo's fleet operations. There are plenty of restrictions with this one, but Baidu has secured the first ever license to test autonomous vehicles in Hong Kong. They now have a 5-year permit to operate 10 autonomous vehicles in the North Lantau area. And obviously, the more locations around the world that get comfortable with autonomous testing, the easier it'll be eventually for Tesla. Rivian's first fast charging location open to all electric vehicles is now open at Joshua Tree. We've been saying the cracks are starting to show at legacy OEMs. This time around, VW had almost 100,000 workers joining in walkouts. They're protesting at German plants against management's plans to cut costs and close sites. Meanwhile, GM is facing its reckoning in China, as this week it just took charges and asset write-downs of more than $5 billion for its joint venture with SAIC. The joint venture will likely cull workers and shutter plants. GM's deal with SAIC expires in 2027, so after that, GM may not really have a future in the Chinese market. For 2025, Consumer Reports ranked the vehicle reliability of 22 different brands based on feedback from owners. And the top 3 companies, we have Subaru, Lexus, and Toyota, with Tesla clocking in at 17th on the list with a score of 36. And for reference, the highest score from Subaru was 68. All the way down at the bottom, you have Rivian at 14. Effectively, this report card packages up many different reports from Consumer Reports into one list. Their main takeaway was that automakers that swing quite widely by taking bigger risks, implementing new platforms or new powertrains, new technology, that's where you wind up having reliability problems. And now, at least for me, the Tesla-specific ratings were behind a paywall. I've shared tens of times over the past few years how I feel about Consumer Reports, but I just want you all to know the report's out there if you want to take a look. And Lucid hit a big milestone today as they have officially begun production of the Gravity in Arizona. And look, despite Peter's nonsense, I'm still rooting for Lucid to make it in the end. Tesla stock closed the day at $369.49, cents, up 3.23%, while the Nasdaq was down 0.17%. The volume was 19% below the average the past 30 days. I would also note that Uber was down over 9% today and Lyft was down over 10% today. That could be many things, but on a day when Tesla significantly outperformed the broader market, I think you know what I'm thinking. Don't forget to check out sign.com linked below and take advantage of that discount. In my opinion, it's a great account to have whether you need one signature a year or hundreds. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please like the video if you did. You can find me on X linked below, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.